Hello everyone, welcome to Miss Jess Suggests. This is a new segment from the Ames Free Library. I'm Miss Jess and I'm the Youth Services Librarian at the Ames Free Library. Every few weeks I'm going to sit down with you here and recommend some great reads. They might be seasonal, they might be new, they might be something great from a favorite author, or maybe they'll just be some of my old favorites. But whatever they are, stay tuned for some good stuff. These books are picture books, but they are great for sharing across all kinds of ages. They all have a message of kindness and acceptance and community spirit. So although the format would indicate that these are great for pre-K listeners, these particular stories are great for all ages. They are perfect for sharing out loud, at home, together, looking at it individually, or even in a classroom. These books they're gentle and they're short enough for preschoolers, but they do also have enough food for thought for elementary students to hear and to discuss and to think about for a little while. So these books here are pretty quick to talk about, so I'm going to share 4 books with you today. And of course, I got a little secret bonus book that we'll throw in at the end. First up, we have The Big Umbrella by Amy June Bates. This book was co-written with her daughter Juniper Bates, so there's already some kindness and love going on here with this family endeavor. If we had to classify this book, I think we could call it a nice magical realism, but really I just call this book a whole lot of fun. This book absolutely has an interest level just right on the surface for pre-K, for preschoolers, maybe even toddlers. It's fun, it's bright, the story is very simple, there's very simple text, and there actually aren't a whole lot of words in this book. This big red umbrella features prominently on every page, so there's a big bright pop of color on every single page. There's actually also, there's a lot that you can talk about based on this story. It can be read and it can be discussed on multiple levels with those older elementary students as well. So The Big Umbrella. Well, this umbrella is at the heart of this simple little story. It's a big, red, loving umbrella. It even says here in the book, it loves to help. So for everyone who's caught out in the rain, there is room under this umbrella. But while the umbrella itself welcomes everybody in, you also kind of have to think about the child who's holding this umbrella, because they must be pretty special too. We don't really see who this child is, but they're kind of a silent partner in this whole big love that abounds in this neighborhood throughout this book. So it's very sweet, it's a little silly, it's very simple, and just as the umbrella can grow to accommodate everybody, a heart full of love can always make a little more room for more love. Speaking of making room, the next book we feature is Room on Our Rock. This book is by Kate and Joel Temple with illustrations by Terry Rose Bainton. Again, this is a picture book. It kind of defies genres. Picture books really do. You could probably make a case for this being realistic fiction, but with animal characters. This book also can really be enjoyed just straight as it is by preschoolers. It's a really simple little story, although there is a fun little gimmick in it that makes it really good too and highly appropriate for early elementary school readers or listeners. So this book in itself, super fun, but then has that deeper level that you could think about and talk about. So we have these sweet little sea lions. A tsunami has completely wiped out the rock, which this parent and child sea lion duo have been living on, and they need a place to go. They were driven out of their home by forces completely beyond their control, and they are exhausted emotionally and physically from their flight from their home. So they just need a little care and a little love and maybe a helping hand. So when they end up at another little sea lion colony, they would like to stay, at least maybe take a rest. But the inhabitants there are pretty unwelcoming and rather aggressive. The beautiful catch to this book is that when you get to the end of the story, one of the phrases on the last page says, maybe you can see this from another point of view. And so what you do is you start at the back and you read the pages in backwards order. So you're going to be flipping through the book backwards, and as you might guess, the book takes on an entirely new meaning. So the same situation, the sea lions have been driven away from their home and they need a place to stay, and the reaction of the other colony is quite different. So really unique and beautiful and heartwarming. Our next book is Upside Down Sid by Dylan Shearsby. We can call this a mostly realistic fiction book. Certainly the motivations of the characters are quite plausible and realistic. Despite that this is a picture book format, this one's probably going to be a little more appropriate for those lower elementary school ages. So maybe K-2. It can be a fun story for older preschoolers, but it would probably have a little bit more resonance with those older readers and listeners. There's something different about Sid. As we see, he lives upside down, while the rest of the world goes about right side up. And he makes accommodations for himself, and he simply does whatever he has to do to exist in this world that is simply not made for him. But one day, some neighbors are playing ball, and the ball accidentally flies through Sid's window. Now we have a problem. But in an attempt to make it up to him, they tell him that they'll fix it, and they want to take him out for some fun. So they take him to an amusement park. They don't really think about the fact that he can't participate in most of the attractions there. But they spend the day together, and they really have that day to pay attention to Sid. And they start to realize that things in Sid's everyday life are so different from their own experience. So instead of ignoring it, they go about trying to do something about it. So while Sid is having to accommodate his upside down life in a right side up world, he now has some friends and some allies who can make that easier for him and who can keep him company as he navigates his way. The illustrations in this book are so simple, nice clean lines, very simple. They actually remind me in some ways of the Little Miss and Mr. Men books, which those little square books that so many of us grew up on. Maybe you know them, maybe you don't. And similar to those books, this book has a very whimsical, silly sense in both the illustrations and the words. And there's also a little lesson to be learned at the end of it all. Finally, let's have a look at Rabbit's Gift by George Shannon, illustrated by Laura Dronzek. This is actually a traditional folktale. They call it a fable from China, although there are similar tales found in traditions throughout the world. So this is going to best hold the attention of maybe children ages 4 and up. And again, it actually makes a great read aloud for maybe K-2 and even that 3rd or 4th grade level to have a little discussion around it. So the illustrations in this book are just lovely. They're so friendly and warm, even with the snow coming down. We can see here that it's winter, it's snowing, it's probably pretty cold. Rabbit has this really tasty looking turnip, so that's nice, good for him. That's how our story starts. So as winter comes on, Rabbit actually finds 2 turnips, and knowing that he won't actually need both of them, he thinks, gee, I wonder if my friend Donkey has enough to eat. It's really cold out there. So he leaves the turnip at her door. Well, Donkey finds the turnip and she looks at it and says, this was so generous and really thoughtful. I'm glad someone brought this to me, but I have this amazing looking potato. I'm gonna eat my potato. And I wonder if maybe my neighbor Goat might need this turnip. Goat might not have found enough food for the winter. So on and on it goes until we have come full circle and the other turnip finds itself back at Rabbit's door. Well, Rabbit thinks, how lovely, and that was really thoughtful and really kind of someone, but I still don't need it. But I know just what to do with it. So in the end, they all get a little extra bite to eat, and it is shared in each other's company. It's a very sweet, a very gentle fable about generosity and kindness and about putting others' needs before, or at least on level with your own needs. I am so excited to share my bonus book with you. This book is actually a bit of an opposite to our theme of kindness and caring, but everything else applies. This book is sweet, this book is fun, this book is silly, with a little bit of sibling rivalry. This is The Evil Princess versus the Brave Knight by Jennifer Home and Matthew Home. And this book tells us right here on the cover that they are best-selling sibling rivals. So right off the bat, we know that they know that of which they speak. This is quite a realistic fiction book, set in a fantasy world, but there is very realistic behavior from these sweet kids here. This is going to appeal to really that typical picture book audience. It's got the princess and the knight, and it's got lots of humor. It's got fun, colorful illustrations. There's even a cute little cat in there. He's hiding right over here on the cover. So this is going to absolutely appeal to the preschool age audience, but it's also going to take you right up through elementary school. The evil princess versus the brave knight. Once upon a time, there lived an evil princess and a brave knight. They shared a castle. They shared a manky cat. But there were issues. It was not a very peaceful kingdom. Well, I think every parent and really any sibling knows that it just escalates from there. So check this one out. It's a lot of fun start to finish. Ultimately, this is just an entertaining book, but it actually does come back to touching on kindness and responsibility and being a good community member, or in this case, a good family member. But it's a reminder that we've all got it within us to be good. I hope you'll swing by the library to check out these great reads, and you can feel free to call the library or shoot us an email for personalized recommendations. Check back soon to see my next video for some more suggestions. Till then, be well and read well.